Hello everyone. Surat Rum has been changed, not the wording, but the vowels, or what in Arabic we call as Arab. So the vowels and the way we read Surat Rum has been changed. So that's not the original way that it was read at the time of the Prophet. And I can prove that based on the Quran. One thing I want you to keep in mind is that you have to believe in Allah. What does Allah tell us in the Quran? Allah tells us in the Quran that He knows the past, present, and future. Before we say anything and do anything, He knows. So He knows, Allah knows that a group of people will change the original reading of Surat Rum. So He has put evidence in that verse to disgrace them and to prove to the future generation, a generation that will come at some point, I don't know when, but this is a generation of true believers. They have been promised in the Quran, in the Bible, in the Torah, in the Gospel. So there will be in future this new generation, this new nation or people that will truly believe in Allah. And so that this is just for them so that they would know that the original surah has been changed. So the first verse, as you say, the current reading says غُلِبَتِ الرُّوم. So this is the original translation, transliteration. I'm sorry, it says غُلِبَتِ الرُّوم. Whereas in reality, this is actually غَلَبَتِ الرُّوم. غَلَبَتِ الرُّوم. So غَلَبَتِ الرُّوم. It means the Romans became victorious. So the Romans became victorious in the nearest of the land, في أدنى الأرض. وهم من بعد غلبهم. غلب in Arabic means victory. But in order to change this, that's why this chapter never made sense to me for many years. But in order to change this, they have changed the meaning of this ghalab to defeat. Whereas if you look at the meaning of ghalab in the Quran, it means actually in the dictionary it says a victory. Ghalab means victory. It says وَهُمْ مِنْ بَعْدَ غَلَبِهِمْ, and they, so basically they, وَهُمْ مِنْ بَعْدَ غَلَبِهِمْ, and they, by they it means the Romans, after their victory, ghalab, as I mentioned, here it reads as سَيَغْلِبُونَ. It means that they will become victorious, as if they got defeated here, and then they got victorious here. Whereas the original reading, the Quranic, the original reading is سَيُغْلَبُونَ, which, as I mentioned here, I'm writing it down. It's a transliteration. سَيُغْلَبُونَ. It means they will be defeated. So the original reading would have been, and they, the Romans, after their victory, will be defeated. So the verse says, Romans did something. Let's replace that, the word ghalaba, let's replace that with X. So Romans did X, okay? So whatever Romans did, we don't know. Romans did X. But Allah knows. This is what I want to teach, because He knows the future. He goes and sees, and then He plans it the way it's so that those who think, those who meditate, those who actually want to learn, Allah can open their eyes so they can see. It says, and they, who are they? They, the Romans, after their X. Romans did X, and then the Romans, they, the Romans, after their X, so they have done the X, after their X, whatever the X is, now they will do Y. So whatever this is, forget about the whole ghalab, victory. So Romans, one more time, Romans did X, and they, the Romans, now what has happened? After their X, after having done X, so these two have to be the same. So these two have to, they're equal. They have to be the exact same thing. Now they will do something different. They will do Y. Right? Now let's go back to the verse. This word should be the exact same word here. These two have to be same. So they are the exact same thing. So but remember, what is this? غَلَبِهِمْ. So this has to be غَلَبَت as well. So this is غَلَبِهِمْ. So these two have to be the exact same thing. And if this was if this was defeat, the first one, if this is defeat, then this has to be defeat, and that is not the same. They are not the same. This is غلبة and this is غلبة. غلبة means victory. So So Allah has put that in the Quran so that we know future generations, when they look at it, Allah doesn't want to leave any doubt in anybody's mind that this verse was changed. But as I mentioned previously, it's not only that. Also, Bez Sanin that is used means a few years, is 3 to 9 years. It's definitely less. It's usually like 3 to 6, 7 years, and that Quran uses on several occasions. So that again, it doesn't match the historical evidence at all, because it has nothing to do with Persian, and because that was 16 years apart, that victory and defeat between Romans and the Persians. I explained that in the initial video. And also Allah's promise of victory and support, Allah calls Nasrullah, to the believers. So Allah is actually actively supporting the army of the true believers in this victory. So, and the Romans were not the true believers. As I mentioned, Romans were the enemy of the true believers at that time. In fact, Zayd, the prophet's only adopted son and the commander of the Muslim army, he was the commander of the entire Muslim army, was killed by the Romans. Ja'far, prophet's cousin, was killed by the Romans in the same war. Also, the other thing is that the Romans' victory over Persians happened at 628, which resulted in the Romans' control of the Holy Land. Before that, Persians were controlling what is known as Israel and Jordan. Israel and Jordan are considered the Holy Land. The Persians were controlling it before. At 628, it changed hands. Romans became victorious. And obviously, believers were really upset at that time because, as you know, Salman the Persian, who was an Iranian and a Persian general, was helping the Muslim army during their wars with the Meccans. As you know, it's the Battle of Khandaq, when they dug that Battle of Trenches, when they dug that around the city of Medina. That was the idea, was Salman the Persian's idea. He was a Persian general, very skilled in war, helping the prophet and the true believers. Obviously, he also ended up believing. It was the same story that right now, if two countries are fighting, basically the enemy of your enemy is my friend. They send intelligence agents and things like that to help the other country against the other country. Persians had sent Salman at that time to help the prophet against the Romans. The Romans became victorious at 628. Believers' victory over the Romans happened in 634 to 637. Battle of Yarmouk, I'm pretty sure you have all heard about it, in 636, which exactly falls within that 3 to 9 years, or Bez Afanin. So it's just, so that is the true reading of this verse, that the associators or mushrikeen after the prophet, they changed this. So this is the actual reading in Arabic. غلبت الروم في أدنى الأرض وهم من بعد غلبهم سيغلبون في بضع سنين لله الأمر من قبل ومن بعد ويومئذ يفرح المؤمنون بنصر الله. So basically, غلبت الروم, Romans became victorious in the nearest of the land, and they, the Romans, after their victory, will be defeated with Allah's support, and He gives victory to whoever He wills. And He is Al-Aziz, means Almighty, All Merciful. Peace and blessings to all of you, and ma'asalam.